pieces small enough that it would fit into a British Airways cargo plane. And we had it on floats with exploding charges that would release it so that it was supposed to, the four floats, very heavy, I think they were oil drums or something like that, so would have it rise to the surface at the precise moment.
The idol hasn't come up yet, as a matter of fact.
No, not yet.
Well, we'll wait and see if it pops up out of the sea, and if the scene goes well. What is you're really on standby status today.
Yeah, well, as soon as they've finished this shot, then, you know, we'll be ready to do something else.
We've all forgotten about how difficult it was or how hard it was sort of standing around the set all day. You forget about things like that.
Being an impatient person, as I am, we said, well, it won't rise, don't worry about it, just stick it there and put some red paint around it, and we'll have to live with it, which tearfully the man that was responsible for doing it admitted defeat.
Oh, I have got another girl, another girl. You're making me say that I've got nobody but you.
David Watkin, who photographed it, and it was his first color film, he was more willing than any cameraman I have ever worked with, before or since, to take a gamble and hope that the laboratory will get him out of trouble.
One of the things that I had experimented with was using reflected light, which in those days was not the custom. Other people had tried it before me at a time when film stock was slower, needed more light, and so it was regarded as a kind of extravagant way. Nobody did it.
Then David would say, do it. It might work, and sometimes it did. And that willingness to push the look of film was quite wonderful.
When he was lighting, we had all these sheets on lines, you know, so it gives a reflected light to the artists, and we used to have to clamber through the sheets to get to them to do their hair or makeup, whatever it was, you know. But it was, the bill, I think, was quite expensive for the laundry.
We spent quite a lot of time in post-production, and we took 2 frames of every shot in the film and put them up on a light box and played around with color filters until we chose which filter, and we were putting a 10% cyan over this and over that, and we did it for every shot in the film. Now, nowadays, of course, it's all processed on deluxe film, but the original prints were absolutely stunning.
After the shoot of Another Girl, the Beatles were very wet, and they had to change their clothes, and there was nothing on this long, mild, stretchy, sandy beach where they could hide behind. There was barely a palm tree inside. So the wardrobe had to rig up some towels and make a little temporary dressing room for them. And these poor boys were there in their undies or less, and there were all these people with their box brownies and clicking away, and we had to try and shoo them off.
Someone would just leap across with a piece of paper saying, sign this. And we don't mind signing things, you know, as a rule, unless we're getting very tired of that. But if it ruins a shot and we have to start all over again, then I think it's a bit much.
For the snow, we chose a place in Austria called Obertauern, and I remember the first words that I had to learn to shout was "Hinter dem Baum, bitte," get behind the trees, because wherever we were, crowds would start appearing, and we just couldn't find an empty space in the snow to shoot.
To film a song for Richard was, he'd never done that before. It's a bit different from filming an action shot when you've actually got to film a band on stage.
I said to them, have you ever skied? None of them had. I said, well, don't try it until we get the cameras out. We put 3 cameras on them, and I said, now learn how to ski. There's a hill, do it. And we just filmed everything that happened, and it all happened for real. And if something was particularly good, we would just slightly embellish it.